Mr. Chairman, I move the committee report HRES 127 adversely to the House of Representatives.
The question is on the motion to report HRES 127 adversely to the House of Representatives. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Buchanan.
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan, yes. Mr. Smith of Nebraska.
Yes.
Mr. Smith of Nebraska, yes. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, yes. Mr. Schweikert. Yes. Mr. Schweikert, yes. Mr. LaHood. Mr. Arrington. Mr. Estes. Mr. Estes, yes. Mr. Smucker. Mr. Smucker, yes. Mr. Hearn. Yes. Mr. Hearn, yes. Mrs. Miller. Yes. Mrs. Miller, yes. Dr. Murphy. Dr. Murphy, yes. Mr. Kustoff. Mr. Kustoff, yes. Mr. Fitzpatrick. Yes. Mr. Fitzpatrick, yes. Mr. Stubbe. Mr. Stubbe, yes. Miss Tinney. Ms. Tinney, yes. Ms. Fishbach. Yes. Ms. Fishbach, yes. Mr. Moore. Yes. Mr. Moore, yes. Ms. Van Dyne. Yes. Ms. Van Dyne, yes. Mr. Feenstra. Mr. Feenstra, yes. Ms. Malliotakis. Ms. Malliotakis, yes. Mr. Carey. Yes. Mr. Carey, yes. Mr. Yakum. Yes. Mr. Yakum, yes. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Bean. Yes. Mr. Bean, yes. Mr. Moran. Mr. Moran, yes. Mr. Neal. Mr. Neal, no. Mr. Doggett. Mr. Doggett, no. Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, no. Mr. Larson. Mr. Larson, no. Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, no. Ms. Sanchez. Ms. Sanchez, no. Ms. Sewell. Ms. Delbene. Ms. Delbene, no. Ms. Chu. Ms. Chu, no. Ms. Moore. Ms. Moore, no. Mr. Boyle. Mr. Byer. Mr. Byer, no. Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans, no. Mr. Schneider. Mr. Schneider, no. Mr. Panetta. Mr. Panetta, no. Mr. Gomez. Mr. Gomez, no. Mr. Horsford. Mr. Horsford, no. Ms. Plaskett. Ms. Plaskett, no. Mr. Swazi. Mr. Swazi, no. Mr. LaHood. Mr. LaHood, yes. Mr. Arrington.
How is Ms. Sewell recorded?
Ms. Sewell is not recorded. Ms. Sewell, no. Mr. Boyle. Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Smith, yes.
Clerk will report the vote.
The yeses are 25, the noes are 18.
There being 25 yeses and 18 noes, the motion is agreed to, and HRES 127 is ordered unfavorably reported to the House. Without objection, members have 2 additional days to file with the committee clerk supplemental additional dissenting or minority views. Last November, the American people overwhelmingly rejected the Biden administration's efforts to put Washington and its bureaucrats ahead of everyday Americans. From canceling appointments for more than 7,500 Americans to give Social Security Administration employees an afternoon off, to signing a midnight agreement to lock in telework with SSA's largest union. Biden's Social Security Commissioner did everything he could to boost bureaucrats at the expense of the American people, all in the midst of a customer service crisis that saw the highest initial disability backlog and some of the highest customer service wait times in the SSA's almost 90-year history. That was before DOGE. This was the Biden administration. In contrast, President Trump promised to increase the efficiency and accountability of Washington's entrenched bureaucracy. The president made no secret about how he was going to accomplish that by tasking the Department of Government Efficiency to aggressively seek out inefficiencies in agencies and places where services could be better streamlined for the American public in order to get a faster, more responsive government for their needs. It is a fact that waste and fraud exist at the SSA. And in the end, that hurts the Americans seeking help from that agency. In August of 2024, the SSA's Office of the Inspector General found $72 billion in improper payments by the agency between 2015 and 2022. President Trump knows that protecting Social Security includes rooting out fraud and waste to ensure that the right benefit is paid to the right person at the right time. This should be something everyone supports. However, some Democrats would prefer to obstruct these efforts to score political points. Fortunately, not only has the SSA been transparent with both Congress and the public with its service delivery data and the changes being made to shift the SSA from an agency that uses decades-old business practices to one that can provide modern, quality service to the public, but one of the first public statements of President Trump's new acting commissioner was to confirm that DOGE personnel cannot make changes to agency systems, to commit to abide by court rulings related to DOGE's access, and to refer DOGE personnel for prosecution if they violate the law. The same laws that protect the American people's data from misuse by the SSA's tens of thousands of other employees. Seniors are already seeing the benefit of doing things differently. Beneficiaries affected by WEP and GPO are getting the back payments mandated by the Social Security Fairness Act faster than expected. Originally, the Social Security Administration estimated it would take 1,000 work hours to send out back payments. In a letter to Social Security, Chairman Ron Estes and myself wrote to SSA, and I quote, "We estimate that it will take about 1,000 work hours to process the actions required under the new law for the approximate 3.2 million affected beneficiaries. Our initial analysis indicates that much of the work will need to be done manually on a case-by-case basis." Since that letter from SSA was sent in January, the Trump administration's embrace of automation and technology has made a night and day difference for those affected seniors. Under President Trump, the SSA has already sent more than 71% of all back payments to the 3.2 million affected beneficiaries. This is how the agency should work. Not wait 1,000 man-hours to do 3.2 million cases hand by hand, but automation to deliver for the American people, and President Trump, in fact, has delivered that in 7 weeks. 7 weeks. The agency quickly implements the laws to get benefits in the hands of Americans as soon as possible. We shouldn't be holding out. While Democrats may want to use scaremongering to score political points, the facts are not on their side. They simply aren't. President Trump did not touch Social Security benefits during his first term. He campaigned on protecting and preserving his Social Security benefits in his first reelect, and his second reelect. In all those campaigns, he has been consistent. And for any member of this body to say otherwise is just saying unfactual representation of President Trump. I now recognize the ranking member from Massachusetts, Mr. Neal, for his opening statement.
Thanks, Mr.